Welcome back, everyone. I'm going to do a video on particles today. So how can you make a title like this? So I've already set up this fusion composition. So I will show you what I've done to make this effect. So if I go over to the fusion page with that fusion clip selected, you'll be able to see the node graph, which is here. And it is a particle system. So it has a particle emitter here. It goes into a particle renderer here. If you try and view any of these, it will always default to showing you what the render is as opposed to the specific node. So the way that the particles form, they form around whatever text that you put in. So I've written particles and I've just turned it on its side. And you can make it appear by using turbulence, the bounding box or the region for that particular turbulence to be applied. So in the text, I've written particles, I've adjusted the side, I've rotated it, I'm piping it into the emitter. So within the emitter, there's loads of controls here. So you can control the number of particles and the lifespan of the particles and the variance and velocity and all sorts of other things. For this, I've kept it relatively simple. It's 100, set the number of particles to 100, variance is 0, lifespan, I have put in an expression which is comp.renderEnd minus 50, so the particle should start disappearing about 50 frames before the end of this particular composition. So somewhere around here they will start disappearing. In terms of the style, I've set it to blob. I haven't changed the color for this, but you can do color variances and all sorts of other things in here as well. I have changed the size control and the size variance so you can see some of the various different sizes. And then within the region, I'm using something called bitmap. And when you click bitmap, it will actually expose the input, this yellow input, and you can pipe your text into there, and it will use, you can see here it says text1, so it's using text1 as the region that those particles will be in. So if you go to the very beginning of the composition, you can actually see in this viewer, you can see roughly that there is a set of particles associated with the word particle there. It's not very well formed and the camera is zoomed in here, so you can't actually see it until later. The other particles that you can see are actually from a separate particle emitter, which is here, which has got similar items. The lifespan I've just left alone, the number I've kept relatively low. And it has a region which is a cube in this case, so you can see this in this box here. And because this is all piped into Emerge 3D, the renderer automatically selects 3D output mode, so the particles are actually in 3D space as opposed to 2D space. So you connect your text into your P emitter, you connect that into Emerge because you're merging two emitters, and then I'm piping that into a turbulence node, and the turbulence node will control the turbulence applied to the emitters. So if you look here, we can see the region mode I've set to when not inside region. So this is the region drawn here, which is a cube, and you can adjust the size of it using these controls here. That cube is just off to the side at the moment. So if that cube moves across to help the particles form, because there's no turbulence and it's forming for the particles to stop reacting within that box, but eventually it will form particles as those particles are clamped in place effectively. And that is how you use the turbulence node. So at the moment it's applying turbulence to everything, but when the box comes over the top of it, the turbulence is then shut down and it ends up forming the word particle because it's based on this text input to this particle emitter. And the other emitted particles are not part of being bound by that text, so the particles flow everywhere across the scene. And that then all goes into the particle renderer, which is what we're viewing in this viewer. In terms of the camera, I started it close in and then it zoomed all the way out. Just thought that looked kind of cool, and because it's in 3D space, you're getting a kind of 3D effects, different sizes and things go move around, and you get this nice effect. And then everything that comes out of the merge 3D, where you've merged the particle renderer and the camera, you will then pass that into the renderer 3D node, and I've applied a final soft glow over the top of all of this, which you can adjust to your heart's content to see how you want the glow to be applied. You might want it up like that. You might even want to keyframe it so it starts off strong and then forms a little better, whatever you want to do. And then you pipe that back into your media out, and then that will take you back into the timeline and you can play that. That's it. That's how you use particles.